Welcome back to Politics Unusual. In the first quarter of this year, violent felonies on the subway were up 7% compared to last year, according to the NYPD. And it doesn't end there. Joining us now to talk about this and more is Republican State Senator Steve Chan from Brooklyn. Thank you so much to the show. Thank you and welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Morgan. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great.
Awesome. So let's start with that report from the NYPD. You are a retired NYPD officer. What do you think of, and what is your reaction when you see those numbers from the NYPD?
So, you know, there's definitely a rise in transit crimes as of late. And on my way here, coincidentally, I was reading the newspaper, and there was an article summarizing everything that has transpired over the last couple of months. And it's astounding. And quite frankly, it's much more than what meets the eye. And because I have constituents that call me up and detailing what happened to them on the train. 2 women chased, harassed, punched, and a third one in Union Square punched not once, twice on 2 separate occasions, all underreported, all not reported to the police, so it doesn't even show up as a figure.
Now, you're introducing a bill that would increase penalties for crimes committed on public transit and make it make it a Class A1 felony for those who intentionally shove another person, causing them to fall on the tracks. Explain more.
Sure, it's very simple. So right now we have something known as, let's say, reckless endangerment. So I made a change in the penal law that says reckless endangerment in public transit. So what that does is, instead of it elevates the degree of charge from misdemeanor to felony, or from second degree to first degree. So if somebody dies as a result of that, it brings it to, instead of murder 2, it brings it to murder 1.
Have you gotten a lot of support from the other side of the aisle? What's the reaction so far?
So I would say, you know, the more moderate Democrats like the idea of bringing it back to the way it was. You know, people that remember how it was under the, let's say 20 years ago, 15 years ago even, they remember the way it was, and it was pleasant. You could travel, you know, right now, look, let's face it, I said it in a press conference the other day in Albany, somebody could punch somebody in the face, and that is known as assault in the 3rd degree. All that is a misdemeanor. In New York State right now, if somebody gets arrested for that, they're let go inside of an hour. And they're probably never going to go to jail. Right? So now when that happens in the trains or a bus, or even in a car leased by the MTA or something like that, I want to bring that charge, being punched in the face, to an assault 2, 2nd degree. Now it makes it a felony. Now during sentencing, it's a different story. And when the perpetrators understand this, and they do, a lot of people say, oh, they don't know, they don't care. Yes, they do, because I've seen this. When I was a cop out there in the early 90s, the perpetrators understand that if they do something bad, they understand the repercussions and the recourse, and it stops them doing it.
Yeah. Now, on the state budget, it's your second state budget this year. Yeah. And it's officially 1 month late. And as a Republican in the minority, you guys are limited when it comes to budget negotiations. You're not as involved. But what's been frustrating about this process? What are you hoping Democrats are listening to Republicans about when it comes to some of these policy ideas being tossed around in the budget?
Okay, so some of the most frustrating things is that, you know, it's common sense. They keep slipping these bills in there that just doesn't benefit anybody, not even, you know, the other side of the aisle. It's all nonsense. Hundreds of these bills are probably being slipped in the budget. And there's just 2 or 3 bills that we suggested that makes perfect sense, such as a tax holiday on gas and utilities, right? On electric. As we all know, New York State pays the highest electric rates in the country. And, you know, don't blame the federal government, because the other 49 states, you know, this is not happening over there. It's only New York. And I don't get the idea of, I know they have a goal, green energy. I get it. It's great. I'm all for it. But they don't have a plan. And we don't have the resource. They shut down Indian Point nuclear power plant. My 10-year-old daughter did a science project that saw this coming from 6 years ago. So they don't have a plan. You have to have a plan to achieve your goals, and they don't have any. Right now, it's affordability. We can instantly save New Yorkers, every ratepayer, 10, 20, 30% on surcharges and tax on their utility bills. Let's do it. It's easy. The bill's there. Slip it in there.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being here, and we'll be sure to have you back on, hopefully after the budget's done, if it's done in a few weeks here.
Oh, yeah,
so.
can I give a special shout out to the debate team over at IS 187, Krista McCullough. I had an opportunity to meet these kids the other day. What a fantastic bunch of kids. Congratulations on your victories.
That's incredible. Thank you again. Thank you.